Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 11th, 2012 nominating meeting of the People's Caucus of Briarcliff Manor. As this audience looking around well knows, the purpose of the caucus, of course, is an independent, nonpartisan nominating body. Its mission is to encourage people to seek local elected office and otherwise participate in local government. Anyone who is a member of the community in the sense that they are resident and eligible to vote in the March election is automatically a member of the caucus and can participate. I would like to start by introducing people. First, my name is Keith Austin. I'm the chair of the Caucus Executive Committee. And on my right, in order, Aaron Stern, Vice Chair, Mark Pohar, Treasurer, and Shelley Polton, Secretary. Carol Blair, our member at large, is not with us this evening. I'd like to also thank the school district for once again hosting this meeting and allowing us to use these facilities. We have a TV schedule. The meeting, of course, is being recorded, and we do have a broadcast schedule for Cablevision, as we have in the past, which some of you picked up on the way in. But there are 4 broadcast dates: Saturday the 14th at 3:30, Sunday the 15th at 1 p.m., which does not interfere with the Giants, Monday the 16th at 9 a.m., and Tuesday the 17th at 11 p.m. And as before, regrettably, we do not have a schedule from FiOS, and we may not have a schedule from FiOS, but if we do, we will put it on the website, and we'll also post it on the most prominent location in the village, which of course is right outside Joel Weldon's stationery store. The first item that we'll deal with is the approval of the minutes. I apologize, the agenda is in order, is an error. It's actually the minutes of the combined meeting of January 12th and January 19th last year. I was reminded that because of snow, we had actually had to cancel the 12th, and we ran the 2 meetings combined. So Shelley will read the minutes of that meeting, unless there is a motion from the floor to approve the minutes as drafted without reading. Is there such a motion?
Yes, there is.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bradley and Mr. O'Leary seconds. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report, and where we pass the hat for contributions. And Mark, if you'd come up, please, and give us the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, everyone. There are copies of the treasurer's report, but with the money we have in the account, you probably don't want to take a copy of it. The opening balance of January 13, 2011 was $1,641.80. We had a total expenses of $2,000.11, and we had some contributions of $900, which left an ending balance on January 11th of $541.69. However, there are a few other bills, so we really have a net balance of 0. So I think we need a bigger hat than that to go around. I did get some checks today, but I haven't really tallied them up, so we do have some money for me to deposit tomorrow in the bank. But any donations today will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
We do appreciate the generosity of those who attend this evening. Our problem, of course, is not with the per capita contributions that this group makes. The problem is that it's a light turnout, but we appreciate all you can give. One of the regrettable things about relatively light turnouts is for most of the last 5 years that I've been in this job, the executive committee has actually been contributing roughly 50% of the budget. So this is not the right kind of a thing for what you might call a community-based organization. So we do appreciate your generosity. Next item on the agenda is nominations for the Caucus Executive Committee. Are there any nominations? Mr. Bradley?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Aaron Stern as chairman, Brian Zerman as vice chairman. It says vice chair. Well, you want to be chair of vice? Good luck, Mary. Carol Blair as secretary and Louis Linder as treasurer.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mr. O'Rourke?
Second the motion.
Thank you. I was remiss in not saying something earlier. This has been a year of rather extraordinary turnover in the Caucus Executive Committee. Earlier this year, Paul Wasserman, our vice chair, resigned. At the end of this year, this term, which expires on April 1st, Shelley Polton will be stepping down. And for reasons you will all know quite soon, Mark Pohar also will be stepping down. So we have those three people, all of whom have served us well and diligently over the last 2 years, and I would really like to thank all of them for their contribution to what they've done for the caucus. Are there any other nominations for Caucus Executive Committee? We're sure.
Will the nomination be closed?
Is there a second? Mr. O'Rourke, second, thank you. Very well then, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Then the nominations for Caucus Executive Committee are closed. Thank you. The next item is what we're all here for this evening, which is nominations for Village Trustee. There are two positions open this evening. The incumbents are Bob Mayer and Anthony Capasso, both of whom have indicated they will not be seeking re-election. And I would like to take a moment also to thank them for their service. Bob, I think, was 3 terms, and Anthony 1, and they have served us all well. And thank you to both of you. Now, before we get to the actual nominations, I just want to remind you quickly of the protocol. I will call on someone who, I will ask, are there any nominations? Someone will raise their hand and say, I would like to nominate John Doe. Someone else, I'll say there's a second. Someone else will second that. I'll call on that person. The nominator is allowed up to 3 minutes to make a nominating speech, and then the nominee is allowed up to 5 minutes to make a speech on whatever he or she may wish to speak about. And so with that introduction, are there any nominations for trustee?
I'd like to nominate Bob Murray, Robert Murray.
Thank you, Nick. And is there a second? Missy? Thank you, Missy. Bob, would you like to say a few words, please, Nick?
Hi, I'm here to nominate Robert Murray for a position as a trustee. Bob has been a good friend of mine for a long time. He's been in this community for 30 years, and he's been very active in the community. He's been on the planning board and really worked tirelessly in that role on the planning board. I sometimes go to his house on a weekend and see him, piles of papers around him, wondering if he's doing work for his office, but no, he's working on planning board things. So it's really refreshing to see somebody who's so active in the community and wants to remain active in the community. So I wholeheartedly support Bob Murray for his position as a trustee. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Bob, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thanks. Hi, I'm Bob Murray. Thanks, Nick, for those nice words. I'm pleased to accept the nomination to be a candidate for village trustee. A little bit about myself. My wife, Missy, and I, sitting here, came to Briarcliff Manor about 30 years ago. In 1981, we moved from Manhattan, and we bought one of the little A-frame cottages on Poplar Road. About 4 years later, we moved over to Farm Road, 12 Farm Road in Chilmark, where we raised our 3 boys. Missy works at Club Fit, and I work in Manhattan. Most people simply know me as Missy's husband. I believe I can make an important contribution to Briarcliff. In 2006, when Metro North was coming in to rebuild the train station, the Board of Trustees nominated a few residents to be members of a parking lot committee. And the purpose of the parking lot committee was that Metro North was going to take up about 25 spots, and we needed alternative parking because the parking lot was jammed. So a few neighbors around the parking lot and concerned commuters were appointed, and I was appointed as the chairman. The committee met for about 9 months. We had a number of constituencies to keep in mind. We kept in mind the neighbors around the parking lot, taxpayers of Briarcliff, commuters, people who use the park, and the river keeper. And we came to the Board of Trustees with a recommendation, finally, of valet parking. The board adopted that, and it was a big hit with commuters. Living up to the old adage that a good deed never goes unpunished, I was then asked to serve on the planning board. I served one term as an alternate member in 2007. And then since 2008, I've been a regular member of the Planning Board, working with the Planning Board to deal with land use issues that impact our quality of life. It's really been that experience on the Planning Board, for which I've got to know Charlie, that has really made me appreciate living here in Briarcliff. I mean, I've enjoyed the camaraderie of working with my fellow planning board members, listening to the concerns of the community, and coming up with what I hope are good solutions. Professionally, I'm a lawyer, and I'm the head of the New York office of Baker Botts Corporate Department. Baker Botts is an international law firm of 750 lawyers, and at that firm, I've worked in the governance of the firm for 6 years on its executive committee. My own practice consists primarily of working with public companies in doing M&A and capital markets transactions, in representing the residents of Briarcliff. I would do what I do with my clients, which is work with candor, with transparency, and with an understanding that there are various issues that have to be taken into account in coming to any decision. I stand here before you with no agenda. I have no platform other than to continue the village's tradition of good government and the goal of continuing to give our residents what I believe is one of the highest qualities of life in Westchester, while keeping in mind that we do bear one of the highest tax burdens in the country. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for trustee? John O'Leary?
I'd like to nominate Mark Pohar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, John?
Chance. I asked Keith what the directions were for this evening, and he said you have 3 minutes, and I've never been one to give up a microphone if I've got 3 minutes, but in the interest of being a little more brief, it is my distinct pleasure to, my name is John O'Leary, I live at 54 South State, Briarcliff. It is my distinct pleasure to place a nomination for the candidate of People's Caucus, trustee Mark Pohar. If you're going to run for public office, you have to be two things. You have to be qualified and you have to be electable. And I firmly believe that Mark is qualified and electable. And I'll give you a couple of brief points. I won't go through all my notes, because I'm sure a lot of what I'm going to be saying you'll be hearing from Mark tonight and at the Q&A. But I've known Mark for over 40 years, tracing our background going back to the Sacred Heart Middle School in Yonkers. Mark was a former student of mine, always very talented, hardworking, and he always had a penchant for getting the job done quickly. Regarding his qualifications, he's been in the medical industry for 30 years, holding a variety of positions from a registered nurse to the administrator of skilled nursing at St. John's Riverside in Yonkers, New York. He's members of numerous national associations and state associations in the Nursing Association, and those, I feel, give him the professional and business qualifications to be running for public office. His political bona fides are very impressive. Treasurer of the People's Caucus, chairman of the Briarcliff Manor Ethics Committee, and when it gets to electability, Mark has been giving back to society for his entire life. Involvement as the treasurer of the Todd PTA, membership in the Health and Safety Committee at Todd, religious instruction teacher at St. Teresa's for over 10 years, coaching softball, the member of the Board of Ethics, People's Caucus, the list goes on and on. Mark is extremely well respected and well thought of in this community, and I think he's very well qualified and certainly electable. He's lived in Briarcliff Manor for 16 years with his wife Kerry, daughters Shannon, who is a junior at Villanova, and Sarah, who's a freshman at Keene State, and their son Sean, who's a sophomore in the high school. It's my great pleasure to place Mark Pohar's name for your consideration as village trustee for the People's Caucus. Thank you.
Mark?
Good evening, everyone. Once again, thank you. John, thank you for your nomination. It It is an honor to be nominated by someone who has given so much to our village in time and effort and has never lost sight of the importance of giving back. While I think that John has held almost every position in the village, personally the most important position John has held in my life, as he stated, was as my 6th grade teacher. I think John was about 15 when he was my 6th grade teacher, however. While John may have been a little militant in his parade behavior enforcement, teaching us how to march in the St. Patrick's Day parade, he always demanded nothing but the best from his students, a life lesson that I know John has brought to this village. Maureen, thank you for seconding my nomination. Your friendship is always something I will treasure. I would like to thank the People's Caucus and all of you for coming out to what I believe is a very important and integral part of the village history and future. The People's Caucus nonpartisan process affords all of us the opportunity to actively participate in our village administration without regard to political party affiliation, and is a process that I greatly endorse and support. I have had the pleasure of serving on the Caucus Executive Committee as treasurer, as stated before, for the past 2 years, and understand the dedication to the People's Caucus process that the Executive Committee is committed to. I would like to thank Keith, Shelley, and Carol for their tireless effort in the preservation and hosting of this caucus. Thank you. It is my honor to stand here and accept a nomination for village trustee. While I greatly respect the Board of Trustees and all that they have accomplished for our village over the past few years, with time comes the need for change. Bob Mayer has served our village as an exemplary trustee for many years, and I personally would like to thank him for all he has done for our village. Anthony Capasso, while his tenure was short-lived, was able to be a part of the board that, amongst many other accomplishments, brought completion to the village's full water supply. What else can I say but bravo? While I certainly ascribe you don't fix what isn't broken, Bob and Anthony's retirement has opened the door for me to be able to offer my time and dedication to the village as a trustee. Bill Vesio, Dave Vendetti, and Lori Sullivan, I offer a wholehearted and heartfelt thank you for all you have done and continue to do for the village. You all, as a board, have led our village with financial conservation and restraint without sacrificing the quality of village services. So a little bit about me, for those of you who don't know me. I've been a resident, as John said, of the village for the past 16 years. My wife, Kerry, and I moved to the village where our family values and a sense of community were of paramount importance. We have raised our 3 children, Shannon, Sarah, and Sean, with family and community values that include understanding the importance of giving back, whether through volunteering at community events such as Stash the Trash Day, village camp, and parish events. I have always lived my life by the same philosophy, and it has been my honor to be, over the years, a religious education teacher, coach, PTA treasurer, committee member, Eucharistic minister, and village ethics committee chair. Professionally, as a registered nurse for 31 years and a nursing home administrator, I have had the opportunity to experience the needs of residents of all ages across the continuum, from the very young to the seniors. I believe with my education, professional, and volunteer experience, I have a unique perspective to bring to the board and the residents of Briarcliff Manor. If elected, it will be my objective to be a part of the continuing momentum of the board and to continue to improve the services and reduce village spending, all for the betterment of the village residents. I appreciate all of you and the People's Caucus for giving me the opportunity to stand before you today and ask for your support for election as your trustee in the upcoming election. It will be my honor to serve each and every one of you. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for trustee? Can I have a motion, please, to close the nominations? Mr. O'Leary, thank you. A second. Charlie, thank you. All in favor of closing nominations, say aye, please. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Let me then just take a minute to say what comes next. Next week is the Meet the Candidates Night, this location, 8 o'clock. at which point the two candidates will address the community and answer questions which those in the audience may wish to pose. Each candidate has the opportunity to make a opening statement of 5 minutes and a closing statement of 3 minutes. Since you've already made your speeches tonight, maybe you want to think about whether you have 5 more minutes of fresh material or not. But because if you agree you want to just reduce that, you can do so, that's fine. And get right to the questions and your summation. With only 2 of you and an uncontested thing, we can be a little flexible in terms of timing, but the general notion is that a question asked of one is also, the other also has the opportunity to respond, and you get about 3 minutes to answer a question, and the second person gets 1.5, and then we rotate the order. Next week, since there is this is uncontested, next week I will have here for your distribution nominating petitions. The purpose of an independent nominating body is to gather at least 100 valid petitions, signatures for their nominees, which means in order to be safe we need at least 150 and preferably more. And because it is inevitable that there will be errors on those petitions. Some people sign twice, some people sign who do not live in the village, some people don't sign properly, and on and on and on. There will be a minimum of a 10% error rate without even looking at them. So we'll have those nominating petitions to pass out, and they will be due back on the 12th of February. The instructions I will go over again next time, but they are due on Sunday the 12th at 5 p.m. And because they must be filed with the village clerk by 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 14th, and we need about a day or so in order to work them through to make sure that there are no problems. So with that, I have nothing more to say. Does anyone have any other business or any questions that they would wish to bring before the caucus? Or any questions from any of my colleagues? No? Then may I have a motion, please, to adjourn the meeting? Mr. Vendetti, thank you. Second? Thank you, Mr. Sharman. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. And thank you all very much for your coming and your contributions monetarily and in person.